Chapter 2671. In the blink of an eye, all of the ancient blood-colored trees were gone. Lu Ming and the others were dumbfounded. Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan looked at Jing Yu's portrait in astonishment. At this moment, the light on Jing Yu's portrait dimmed and flew back into Lu Ming's knowledge sea. At the same time, a piece of information came out from Jing Yu's portrait. This is, Lu Ming's eyes flickered. The information that came out from Jing Yu's portrait was a divine art and 2 divine skills. Universe Myriad Dao Art, Apocalyptic 3 Strikes, and 9 layers Crimson Gold Armor. Universe Myriad Dao Art was a divine art, Apocalyptic 3 Strikes was an offensive divine skill, and 9 layers Crimson Gold Armor was a defensive divine skill. Other than these, there was no other information. Lu Ming swore on his life origin that he would do something for Jing Yu, but he did not reveal any information. Could it be that my cultivation is not high enough, so he didn't reveal any information to prevent me from dying in vain? Lu Ming could not help but guess. However, there was no time to think about it now. Their priority was to search for the wood crystals. Let's collect the wood crystals first, Lu Ming said. Immediately, the group gathered the wood crystals at the bottom of the abyss. There were so many ancient blood-colored trees living in the bottom of the abyss. Obviously, many plant life forms had died under the ancient blood-colored trees, leaving only wood crystals and broken branches and leaves. The group gathered the wood crystals along one side of the abyss. After walking for dozens of miles, they arrived at the end of the abyss and saw a huge cave with blood-colored mist coming out from it. It was obvious that some ancient blood-colored trees were hiding in this cave, but they did not dare to come out. It seems like these ancient blood-colored trees are really afraid. Lu Ming smiled. Then, they returned to the other side of the abyss to collect the wood crystals. After dozens of miles, they arrived at the end of the abyss. There was also a huge cave here, and those ancient blood-colored trees did not dare to come out. A big harvest. Thinking of the wood crystals they collected this time, Lu Ming's face was full of smiles. They had collected several hundred wood crystals, and all of them were of high quality. It was definitely a great harvest. If they were able to refine them all, their cultivation would surely improve significantly. Those people are probably waiting up there. Why don't we refine the wood crystals here first, then kill our way out? Xian Yanqing said, his eyes flashing with cold killing intent. All right. Lu Ming nodded. He also wanted to take a good look at the new divine arts and techniques he had obtained. Immediately, the 3 of them sat down cross-legged in the middle of the abyss. In this position, if those blood-colored ancient trees were to launch a sneak attack, they would be able to detect them in time and have time to react. Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan each took out a wood crystal and devoured it. Qiu, help us observe our surroundings. Lu Ming wasn't in a hurry to refine the wood crystals. First, he had Qiu stand guard for them. Then, he carefully examined the newly obtained divine arts and skills. First, Lu Ming looked at the Universe Myriad Dao technique. Lu Ming focused, and the Universe Myriad Dao technique became clear in his mind. Lines of words and even pictures appeared in Lu Ming's mind. A short while later, Lu Ming finished reading the Universe Myriad Dao technique. Lu Ming was stunned by the Universe Myriad Dao technique. The Universe Myriad Dao technique was a divine art that specialized in cultivating God force. Its level of profoundness exceeded Lu Ming's expectations. If one cultivated this divine art to the peak, they would be able to cultivate sovereign God force. However, this was only the foundation. After cultivating sovereign God force, one could cultivate other divine arts and techniques. Moreover, the God force cultivated from other divine arts and techniques could coexist with sovereign God force. The most shocking thing was that other divine arts and techniques didn't need to be cultivated to the peak. As long as one could cultivate a strand of God force, there was no need to continue cultivating. This was because that strand of God force would increase along with the sovereign God force. For example, if Lu Ming cultivated the Universe Myriad Dao technique to the peak and cultivated another divine art, he would be able to ignite another divine flame beside his original divine flame. Every time he cultivated a different divine art, he would be able to ignite another divine flame. These divine flames would increase along with the sovereign God force. Heaven-defying, this was simply heaven-defying. One had to know that an average person could only cultivate one divine flame. According to the Universe Myriad Tao technique, one could cultivate an unlimited number of divine flames as long as they had different divine arts and techniques. Lu Ming was amazed, and his heart was burning with passion. This divine art was truly heaven-defying. There was a paragraph at the end of the Universe Myriad Tao technique, which was Jingyu's annotation. Jingyu explained. The Universe 10,000 Tao's technique was something Jingyu had obtained from a forbidden ground. Jingyu had relied on the Universe 10,000 Tao's technique to control sovereign god force. Jingyu wasn't like Lu Ming, who hadn't cultivated any divine arts and techniques to control sovereign god force. Let's start cultivating. Lu Ming couldn't wait to see the profundity of the Universe Myriad Tao technique. The Universe Myriad Tao technique was divided into 12 levels. Only by cultivating to the 12th level would one be able to control sovereign god force. Lu Ming closed his eyes and started cultivating according to the manual. A few minutes later, Lu Ming opened his eyes. He had succeeded in cultivating the first level. The speed of his cultivation was shocking. Continue. Lu Ming continued cultivating. After a while, Lu Ming reached the second level, then the third level. In just half an hour, Lu Ming had reached the 6th level. This was very normal. When one cultivated the Universe 10,000 Tao Sutra to the 12th level, one would be able to control the sovereign's divine power. However, Lu Ming had already mastered the sovereign's divine power. When he cultivated the Universe 10,000 Tao Sutra, it was as though he was riding on a rocket. Lu Ming realized that as his cultivation of the Universe Myriad Tao technique deepened, the god force in his body became stronger. He was slowly approaching the second level of the void god realm. Moreover, Lu Ming had become more proficient in using the sovereign god force. Many of the profundities of the sovereign god force were unearthed by Lu Ming. In the past, Lu Ming didn't have a direction when cultivating the sovereign god force. He had to rely on himself and study Jingyu's portrait to advance. Now, with the Universe Myriad Tao technique, Lu Ming had a direction, and a path. This way, he would be able to unleash the profundities of the sovereign god force. Continue. Lu Ming immersed himself in cultivating. As he neared the end, his speed slowed down. However, 3 days later, Lu Ming still managed to cultivate the Universe Myriad Tao technique to the 12th level. Boom! When Lu Ming reached the 12th level of the Universe Myriad Tao technique, the divine fire in his dantian burned fiercely, and its volume increased by a notch. The god force in his body surged and became stronger. He had broken through. His cultivation had broken through to the second level of the void god realm. Chapter 2672. He hadn't refined any god crystals or wood crystals. He had only cultivated the Universe Myriad Tao's technique to the 12th level, and his cultivation had already made a breakthrough. Moreover, Lu Ming felt that using the sovereign's god force was much easier than before. According to the records of the Universe of Myriad Tao arts, I have already cultivated to the 12th level, so I can cultivate other divine skills and techniques. I can ignite another divine fire near the original divine fire. Unfortunately, there are no other divine skills and techniques. Lu Ming sighed. At the same time, he began to think about how to obtain a few divine techniques to cultivate after returning to the sect. There were also different levels of divine arts and techniques. They were divided into king grade, saint grade, and divine grade, 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 divine technique. If one cultivated a king grade divine art to its peak, one would be able to cultivate king grade divine power. When one cultivated a saint grade divine art to its peak, one could cultivate saint grade divine power. As for divine grade techniques, once cultivated to the peak, one would be able to cultivate divine grade divine power. The higher the level, the higher the value. For the Qin heavenly 13 sects, each of them had saint grade divine arts and arts. But for each of them, they were considered the ultimate treasures of their sect. Only those who were truly core members would have the qualifications to cultivate them. As for the three overlords, they all had their own divine-grade divine arts. In addition, the Kongxian school was the leader of the top 10 sects, and it was said that they had several types of saint-grade divine arts. These sacred-grade and divine-grade divine techniques were too precious. Naturally, Lu Ming could not get his hands on them now. However, those king-grade divine techniques were not that precious. It was still possible for him to get his hands on them. At the very least, in a major power like the Qin Heavenly 13 sects, there should be quite a few royal-grade cultivation arts. Although it was only at the king grade, if Lu Ming cultivated it and ignited another divine fire, his strength would definitely be stronger. The key was that the heaven and earth myriad Tao art was too profound. Lu Ming did not need to cultivate to the peak of other divine arts and techniques, he only needed to cultivate a strand of divine power. Under the guidance of the heaven and earth myriad Tao art, he would naturally be able to achieve the corresponding level of divine power. Boom! Boom! At this moment, Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan simultaneously emitted two powerful auras. Both of them had broken through. The speed of refining the wood crystals was too fast. After a few days of refining, the two of them had broken through from level 3 empty god realm to level 4 empty god realm. Soon, their auras calmed down. However, there were still a lot of wood crystals left, and the two of them continued to refine them. Let's look at the other two divine skills. Lu Ming was looking forward to it. He wasn't in a hurry to refine the wood crystal and raise his cultivation. During this period of time, his cultivation had been continuously making breakthroughs. He had to stop and stabilize himself. Otherwise, his foundation would be unstable. He was different from Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan. Xian Yanjuan's past life and present life had fused together. It was as if he had been reborn from his past life. His cultivation level was far higher than his current cultivation level. As long as she had a large amount of resources, her cultivation level would increase rapidly. Xian Yanqing had devoured her past life in this life. However, she had inherited all the memories of her past life. Although her personality and will were from her current life, she had inherited the memories of her past life. However, since she had inherited the memories of her previous life, her horizons and martial will were still very high. Although she couldn't be compared to Xian Yanjuan, her martial will was still extraordinary. Hence, even if she were to improve rapidly, her cultivation base wouldn't be unstable. Next, Lu Ming took a closer look at the two types of divine skills. Level 9 divine skills. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Both divine skills were level 9 divine skills. This meant that these two divine skills could be cultivated to level 9. Level 9 divine skills were extremely rare and precious. The more one cultivated them, the more powerful they would be. For example, the ancestor of techniques, Kang Ji, and Sichu Haonan only possessed level 3 divine skills. This was a complete divine skill, not something an incomplete divine skill could compare to. It was much more powerful. Level 9 Crimson Gold Armor was a defensive divine skill. After successfully cultivating it, a crimson gold armor would form on the surface of one's body. Its defensive power was shocking. The more one cultivated it, the stronger the defensive power. There was even a strong recoil force. If one cultivated it to level 9, its power would be unimaginable. Destructive 3 strikes was an offensive divine skill. There were a total of 3 moves: Sky Splitter, Moon Slash, and Star Burst. Each of the 3 moves was stronger than the previous one. However, each move was harder to cultivate than the previous one. When one cultivated it to level 1, one could use Sky Splitter. When one cultivated it to level 4, one could use the power of Moon Slash. As for Starburst, one had to cultivate it to level 7 before they could use it. Can I cultivate it now? Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Logically speaking, one had to be at least a peak empty god to be able to use the divine skills. This was because using the divine skills consumed a shocking amount of divine power. However, Lu Ming controlled the sovereign divine power. It couldn't be compared to other divine powers. It was very strong. Perhaps he could use some of its power. Since I can't raise my cultivation now, I'll cultivate it first. Lu Ming made up his mind. First, he began to comprehend the apocalyptic 3 strikes. There was no doubt that the divine skills were very profound. Fortunately, Lu Ming had previously cultivated an incomplete divine skill. Moreover, once he cultivated it to a high level, it would be easier. Even so, Lu Ming spent a full half a month before he finally reached the beginner level of the apocalyptic 3 strikes. The destructive 3 strikes was a pure offensive technique. It could be used with many weapons, such as swords, sabers, spears, axes, etc. Lu Ming took out his spear and quickly circulated his divine power. His entire body became sharp. Shio! The spear suddenly pierced forward. A spear light shot out from his body and hit the stone wall on one side of the abyss. Poof! It was like the spear had pierced through tofu. A small hole appeared in the stone wall. It was so deep that one couldn't see the bottom. What power! Lu Ming was pleasantly surprised. However, he immediately pulled a long face. This was because he felt that the divine power in his body was almost exhausted. Using the divine skill consumed too much divine power. Although he had mastered the sovereign divine power, he was only at rank 2 empty god realm. It was too much for him to use the divine skill. If it was someone else who had not mastered the divine grade divine power and was only at rank 2 empty god realm, they would not be able to use the divine skill. Let's recover first. Lu Ming walked to the side and took out some divine crystals. He started to absorb the divine qi in the divine crystals to recover his divine power. After recovering a little, Lu Ming felt that Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan's aura had increased. They were about to break through again. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. In the past half a month, Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan had refined most of the wood crystals that were given to them. Finally, they started to break through again. Soon, they succeeded in breaking through and their auras stabilized. Rank 5 empty god realm. This speed of breaking through was shocking. How long had it been since they came to the lush forest? This lush forest is really a blessing. Lu Ming smiled. This was a blessing for the new disciples. As long as they had the strength, they would be able to obtain enough wood crystals and their strength would skyrocket in a short period of time. Lu Ming continued to devour the divine crystals. Soon, his divine power had recovered to its peak. Now, let's go up. Xian Yanqing walked over and said, I have the same idea. A cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. Chapter 2673. Now that their strength had skyrocketed, it was time to go up and settle the score. Lu Ming hoped that the young man in luxurious clothes and the others were still up there. However, the gravity of the abyss was very strong. They could not fly up directly, so they could only climb up along the walls. Above the abyss, the young man in luxurious clothes, the young man with the big bow, and the others were still waiting there. It's been so many days, but I haven't seen them come up. I guess they're dead down there. Someone sneered. This abyss feels extremely evil and dangerous. I guess they're all dead down there. Let's go. Someone else said. Time was precious. They could only stay in Jiwu Forest for 3 months, but they had already waited here for more than 20 days. Their hearts were bleeding. They could not afford to waste time. Let's wait for another 3 days. If they still haven't come out in 3 days, we'll leave. The young man in luxurious clothes said. Look, there's someone there. Suddenly, someone shouted and pointed to the edge of the abyss. Everyone looked over and saw a few people climbing up from the edge of the abyss. Those people were naturally Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and Xian Yanjuan. It's that kid. They're still alive. The young man with the big bow had a cold look in his eyes. They're not dead, but they're dead for sure now. The young man in luxurious clothes said coldly. A powerful and cold aura locked onto Lu Ming and the others. They're still here, and their numbers have increased by a lot. Lu Ming's eyes flashed with cold murderous intent. He pressed his arm and jumped up into the abyss. Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan came out of the abyss and stood beside Lu Ming. Finally, you can't hold it in anymore. Fortunately, we didn't leave. Hehe, kid, this is fate. You're destined to die. The young man in luxurious clothes said ferociously. An extremely sharp long sword appeared in his hand. Divine power surged as he stepped toward Lu Ming. You're right. Fortunately, you didn't leave. I didn't have to look for you. The corners of Lu Ming's mouth curled up slightly. A long spear appeared in his hand. You still want to resist? I'll kill you in 3 moves. The young man in luxurious clothes shouted coldly. His body burst out, and a terrifying sword light shot towards Lu Ming like a bolt of lightning. Wang! Lu Ming directly swept out with his gun. The moment he made his move, Lu Ming activated the battle character secret art to double his battle prowess. The long spear was like an enraged dragon, bringing with it an endless gale that swept towards the luxuriously dressed youth. Boom! A terrifying explosion rang out. The luxuriously dressed youth's swordlight directly collapsed. Lu Ming's spear struck the luxuriously dressed youth's long sword. The terrifying strength caused the long sword to bend, and the berserk strength bombarded the luxuriously dressed youth. Catcher! The sound of bones breaking could be heard from the young man's body. Half of his body exploded and he was sent flying like a cannonball. He collided with a level 6 empty god realm young man. That young man spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying as well. What? Everyone on the other side widened their eyes in shock. One move. In just one move, the luxuriously dressed youth was defeated and heavily injured. How could this be? Over 20 days ago, many people had exchanged blows with Lu Ming. Lu Ming was not as powerful as they thought he was. The young man with the big bow felt chills all over his body. He was almost scared to death. He felt it the most. When he had first come to Jiwu Forest and fought with Lu Ming's strength was not as powerful as before. He was no match for him at all. In the end, Lu Ming escaped once. When they met again, Lu Ming's strength had increased by a large margin. Now, Lu Ming's strength had increased by a large margin. This speed of improvement was too shocking. Kill. After severely injuring the luxuriously dressed youth with one move, Lu Ming shouted. He became one with his spear and charged towards his opponent like a bolt of lightning. At the same time, Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan also charged towards their opponents. Boom! Lu Ming swept out with his spear. The terrifying spear radiance was like a mountain, pressing down on the few young men. Bam! Bam! Some of these young men were at rank 5 empty god realm while some were at rank 6 empty god realm. They were directly hit by Lu Ming and exploded in the air. The scene was horrifying. Let's work together and kill him, the young man with the big bow shouted. There were around 30 of them and more than 10 of them were at rank 7 empty god realm. At this moment, a few rank 7 empty god realm cultivators charged towards Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan. Die! Xian Yanjuan shouted coldly. His body was covered in a holy light and a holy light sword was slashed out. The trajectory was mysterious. Puff! A rank 7 empty god realm cultivator was directly killed by Xian Yanjuan. He was unable to resist at all. At the same time, Xian Yanqing also killed a rank 7 empty god realm cultivator. Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan's cultivation had broken through 2 levels and reached rank 5 empty god realm. The two of them did not lack suitable divine skills, and their combat skills were even more ingenious. As their cultivation increased, their strength would also become stronger. If they were weak, they would not be able to use many of their skills. The stronger they were, the more skills they would have. At this moment, it was not difficult for them to kill a rank 7 empty god realm cultivator. It was not difficult for Lu Ming either. When Lu Ming was at rank 1 empty god realm, he could activate the battle character skill to double his combat strength and fight against a rank 7 empty god realm cultivator. Later on, he cultivated the universe myriad Dao technique and was able to use the sovereign's divine power better. His cultivation had also reached rank 2 empty god realm and it was easy for him to deal with a rank 7 empty god realm cultivator. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. In an instant, more than a dozen attacks were directed at Lu Ming. Sovereign. Lu Ming bellowed as he circulated his sovereign's divine power. All of a sudden, when the attacks neared Lu Ming, they seemed to have been dominated by him. All of them deviated from their trajectories and rushed past Lu Ming. What? How could this be? The sovereign's divine power. He has mastered the sovereign's divine power. Someone shouted. Everyone's heart shook violently. The sovereign's divine power. Lu Ming had mastered the sovereign's divine grade divine power. As far as they knew, no one in the younger generation of the Kongxian school had mastered the divine grade divine power. Only the three overlords had peerless geniuses who had mastered the divine grade divine power. Monster, a peerless monster, kill. Lu Ming would not let go of this opportunity and thrust out his long spear. Puff, puff. Spear light swept out, and in an instant, 5 to 6 geniuses were killed by Lu Ming. Even a rank 7 empty God Realm cultivator was killed. Let's go, we must report this news. This person has mastered the divine grade divine power, and he will definitely become the Holy Sun's enemy in the future. We must let the Holy Sun know. The young man with the big bow and the others wanted to retreat. Today, none of you will leave, Lu Ming said coldly. His killing intent surged like a tide, and he was like a god of slaughter as he charged towards these people. At the same time, he released Chiu to restrain his opponents. Chapter 2674. Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan also started a merciless massacre. The other party could not defend themselves against their attacks. One by one, they were killed, and they would stay here forever. Demons, you are demons. You wantonly killed your fellow disciples. You have violated the rules of the sect. You will be punished. The remaining people shouted. Lu Ming sneered. Previously, these people had threatened to kill them, and Lu Ming and the rest had almost died in their hands. Now, they wanted to use the sect rules to suppress them. When they were chasing after Lu Ming and the rest, where did the sect rules go? Ridiculous. Bam! Lu Ming attacked without mercy. He waved his long spear and sent a level 7 empty God Realm expert flying, severely injuring him. In the blink of an eye, there were only 6 or 7 people left, and they were all level 7 empty God Realm experts. Split up and run. The young man with the big bow shouted in fear and shot an arrow at Lu Ming. An arrow was shot at Lu Ming, but it was deflected by Lu Ming's spear. Stay here, Lu Ming shouted. At this moment, there was a sudden burst of powerful energy in his body. The battle word tactic had successfully tripled his combat ability. Lu Ming's ability had increased tremendously. Swoosh! Lu Ming dashed out and thrust his spear. A young man at level 7 of the Void God Realm turned pale with fright and tried his best to block the attack. However, there was no way he could block the attack. He was pierced through by Lu Ming's long spear. The long spear vibrated and the young man was torn into pieces. Buzz! Lu Ming swept across, and another level 7 empty God Realm youth was killed by Lu Ming. At this moment, Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan each killed another person. There were only 3 people left on the other side. Now, it's your turn. Lu Ming approached the young man with the big bow at lightning speed. The youth with the big bow was scared to death. He kept shooting arrows at Lu Ming, but they were deflected by Lu Ming. In the next moment, Lu Ming threw out his long spear. The long spear, which was a lower rank 9 divine weapon, turned into a flash of lightning and pierced through the youth with the big bow, nailing him to an ancient tree. Ah! The youth was still alive, and he let out a shrill scream. Lu Ming, go ahead and kill him. Saint Son of Fleeting Light will avenge me. Your ability is not worth mentioning in the eyes of Saint Son of Fleeting Light. No, any powerful cultivator from Fleeting Light's faction can kill you. Your woman will also have to die. The young man with the big bow knew that he was going to die. He roared and cursed before he died. If that fuck Siko dares to provoke me, I will kill him sooner or later. Rest in peace, Lu Ming said coldly and killed the youth with a palm strike. Pulling out his long spear, Lu Ming returned to the battlefield. Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan had caught up with the remaining 2 youths and killed them in a short while. Swoosh! Lu Ming moved and appeared beside one of the youths. This was the youth in luxurious clothes. The youth in luxurious clothes was the first to attack Lu Ming. He was severely injured by Lu Ming's spear. Half of his body was smashed and he laid on the ground, unable to move. He had witnessed the entire scene. At this moment, he was so scared that he wet his pants. When he first met Lu Ming was just a demigod ant. He did not put him in his eyes at all. He never expected Lu Ming to be so terrifying. Don't kill me, don't kill me. As long as you spare my dog life, I will obey your orders in the future. I will be your dog. Please let me go. The youth in luxurious clothes screamed in horror. I don't need a dog. You can go in peace, Lu Ming said coldly. He waved his spear and ended the youth's life. Let's get out of here quickly, Lu Ming said after taking away everyone's storage rings. The commotion just now was too big. If others found out that Lu Ming had killed more than 30 disciples of the same sect, they would be in trouble. Their figures flickered and they left the place. Moments after Lu Ming's group disappeared, a rainbow light flashed in the sky and a figure appeared. This figure was the outer court deacon, Le Zhong. How could this be? Le Zhong looked at the corpses on the ground and his eyes widened in disbelief. What's going on? These wounds are sword wounds and spear wounds. They were killed by someone. Who was it? Who was it? Le Zhong roared with a ferocious look in his eyes. Could it be that Lu Ming kid? Le Zhong thought of Lu Ming. That was because the youth in luxurious clothes and the others had been waiting here to block Lu Ming. He knew all of this. However, were Lu Ming's group that strong? Damn bastards. I won't let this matter rest. Le Zhong growled. His figure flashed and he left the place. The following days were relatively peaceful. With Chocho's help, Lu Ming's group obtained a lot of wood crystals from Jiwu Forest. Although it couldn't be compared to the Abyss, it was not bad. The 3-month deadline was almost up. Lu Ming's group headed out of Jiwu Forest. Figures constantly rushed out of Jiwu Forest and arrived outside the forest. Outside, the outer court elder stood in the air. Clearly, he had been waiting here. Haha, how was your harvest this time? Not bad. Nestle, you actually broke through a tear. Many people met and chatted with each other. Many people had smiles on their faces. This time, most of them had gained quite a lot. Hunting plant life and obtaining wood crystals could increase one's cultivation base very quickly. Many people even directly broke through a tier in their cultivation base, which saved them many years of time. Soon, almost all the disciples who went in came out. However, the number of people was much smaller. When they entered, there were more than 600 people, but now, there were only about 500 people left. About 100 people were missing. Obviously, these people had all died in Jiwu Forest and became nutrients for the plant life. At this moment, 4 rainbow lights flew out of Jiwu Forest. They were the 4 outer court deacons. They had brought up the rear and only came out now. As soon as Le Zhong came out, he glanced at Lu Ming. A powerful aura suddenly pressed down on Lu Ming. Boom. Lu Ming felt like he was being crushed by a divine mountain. His body shook violently and he kept retreating. A trace of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. What are you doing? Xian Yanqing shouted, standing beside Lu Ming. The others, including the outer court elder and the 3 outer court deacons, also looked at Le Zhong in astonishment. Brat, you killed your fellow disciples. Your methods are ruthless. Today, I will clean up the sect and kill you, Le Zhong shouted. His killing intent was cold. Without any explanation, he sent a palm strike at Lu Ming. He did not give Lu Ming a chance to defend himself. A terrifying palm print pressed down on Lu Ming. Lu Ming's face changed greatly. Le Zhong's cultivation base had definitely reached the true god realm, and it might even be a high-level true god. It was too terrifying. Lu Ming could not resist at all. The difference in cultivation base was too big. It was not something talent could make up for. Chapter 2675. What's going on? The outer elder said with a frown. Elder, this kid is insane. He killed dozens of his fellow disciples in Jiwu Forest. He deserves to die. Le Zhong said coldly. What? These words caused many people to be shocked. Lu Ming killed dozens of his fellow disciples? Was that true? You're slandering me. Lu Ming wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and stepped forward. He stared at Le Zhong with bright eyes and said, Deacon Le Zhong, do you have any evidence that I killed my fellow disciples? You're the ones who killed those disciples. How dare you quibble? Le Zhong said coldly. What quibble? I'm asking you, do you have any evidence? Did you see it with your own eyes, or do you have other witnesses? Lu Ming said loudly. Lezhong was speechless for a moment. Although he was sure that Lu Ming and the others killed them, where was the evidence? So, you don't have any evidence? Lu Ming raised his voice. Since you don't have any evidence, why did Deacon Lezhong accuse me of killing him? Why didn't they die in the hands of the plant life? Why didn't they be killed by someone else? Lu Ming asked a few questions in a row and pressed on. How dare you quibble? Lezhong roared and stared at Lu Ming like an angry lion. It was hard for him to defend himself. He couldn't possibly say that those dead disciples had died because they surrounded Lu Ming and that Lu Ming was the murderer. But could he say that? We've been hunting plant life in Jiwu Forest. I didn't expect to be slandered like this. Elder Lezhong, I want to know why. Did Huang Wu ask you to slander me? Or are you from Tianhong's faction? I've offended both of them. Lu Ming said loudly. His voice spread throughout the place. Oh, I understand. I understand too. Lu Ming offended Tianhong's faction, and Deacon Lezhong is from Tianhong's faction. Many people's hearts skipped a beat, as if they had suddenly realized something. Lezhong was speechless by Lu Ming's question. There must be no evidence. Lu Ming had offended Tianhong's faction, and Lezhong happened to be from Tianhong's faction. Many people thought that Lezhong was taking the opportunity to take revenge and slander Lu Ming. This brat, Lezhong's teeth. Maybe. Lu Ming's gaze turned cold. Initially, he was just spouting nonsense to test the other party. Seeing that the other party did not say anything, he knew that he had guessed correctly. On. The outer sect elder spoke up. He had a rough idea of what was going on. However, this was a battle between factions. He didn't want to get too involved, so he tried to smooth things over. With a wave of his hand, a divine artifact combat sword appeared. It grew rapidly and he landed on the combat sword. Lezhong glanced at Lu Ming coldly and landed on the combat sword as well. Then, the others landed on the combat sword one after another. The combat sword turned into a rainbow light and disappeared. Not long after, they returned to the outer sect area. After returning, Lu Ming separated from Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan. He returned to his room and cultivated in seclusion. He had a lot of things to do next. On one hand, he had to refine his divine power and strengthen his foundation. On the other hand, he had to comprehend the battle character formula. The battle character in his sea of consciousness was unfathomable. Lu Ming felt that he had only scratched the surface. There was endless potential waiting for him to unearth. Now, the probability of him triggering 3 times his combat strength was 1 in 10. The probability would only increase as his comprehension of the battle character formula deepened. In addition, Lu Ming still had 2 divine skills, the 3 strikes of annihilation and 9-fold crimson gold armor. Lu Ming felt that he did not have enough time. In the following time, Lu Ming completely devoted himself to cultivation. In Huang Wu's courtyard. Damn it, damn it, damn it. Huang Wu roared. This time, he had invited many experts from the floating light sect to kill Lu Ming in the forest. But now, he received news that those experts were all dead. These people went to kill Lu Ming together, but they all died at the same time. It could not be a coincidence. Huang Wu seriously suspected that it was Lu Ming's doing. But was Lu Ming that strong? Senior brother Huang Wu, that kid Lu Ming is very strange. Should we ask senior brother Huang Wen? A lackey asked carefully. My big brother has been in seclusion recently. Let's wait until my big brother comes out. Let that kid live a little longer, Huang Wu said coldly. At the same time, the people from the Tianhong sect were also furious. Lezhong brought back news that they suspected that the young man in luxurious clothes and others from the Tianhong sect had died in the hands of Lu Ming. A storm was brewing. In the outer sect area, where the female disciples lived, there were beautiful mountains and clear waters, and countless strange peaks. In a hidden valley, Xian Yanjuan's figure flickered. Runes constantly appeared from his hands and landed on the ground. On the ground, a strange formation was faintly discernible. After a few hours, Xian Yanjuan finally stopped. He exhaled slightly, and then formed a seal with both hands. With a light shout, the formation flickered and condensed into a fine ray of light. It shot into the sky and disappeared in an instant. Its speed was unimaginably fast. I hope I can receive it. Staying here will make my cultivation progress too slow. It's not a long-term plan, Xian Yanjuan muttered. He then sat cross-legged and quietly cultivated. Time flew. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. On this day, Xian Yanjuan suddenly opened his eyes. In front of Xian Yanjuan, the space rippled and a grey-robed old man suddenly appeared. Uncle Hong, seeing the grey-robed old man, Xian Yanjuan called out in surprise. The grey-robed old man's eyes seemed to be filled with stars. He carefully sized up Xian Yanjuan, and his old face revealed an ecstatic expression. Eldest miss, it's you. It's really you. You've succeeded in your reincarnation? The grey-robed old man was so excited that his voice trembled. After many years of reincarnation, I was lucky to succeed, Xian Yanjuan said. Seeing the grey-robed old man, she felt much more relaxed. Thank God, thank God. The grey-robed old man sighed repeatedly. His tiger-like eyes were filled with tears. He looked at Xian Yanjuan dotingly. After a while, he sighed and said, I wonder how second miss is doing. She's also nearby. I'll call her over, Xian Yanjuan said. Then, he took out a voice transmission jade talisman and sent a message to Xian Yanqing. Second miss is also here? Did second miss also succeed in her reincarnation? The grey-robed old man became even more excited. She said it was a success, but it can't be said to be a complete success, Xian Yanjuan said. Can't be said to be a complete success? What's going on? The grey-robed old man asked. Her obsession in this life is too strong, so this life devoured her previous life. Her will is dominated by this life. She's no longer completely Tang Qing, Xian Yanjuan sighed. Baidu Search 81 Chinese Network. No advertising message. Chapter 2676. Hearing Xian Yanjuan's words, the grey-robed elder's expression changed. After a long while, he sighed. Reincarnation comes with countless risks. If you can't awaken, you will be trapped in reincarnation forever until you die. Second miss is lucky to be able to awaken. At least, she still retains the memories of her previous life. The grey-robed elder sighed. He had lived for a long time and had seen many people reincarnate. However, only 1 in 10,000 could awaken after reincarnation. Most of them were lost forever. There were many like Xian Yanqing. Their obsession in this life was too strong. In the end, the will of this life was the master. In this way, reincarnation could only be half successful. There were very few people like Xian Yanjuan who had completely awakened. Moreover, she has a family now. She has a son and a granddaughter. Then, Xian Yanjuan explained the situation of Xian Yanqing and Lu Ming. The two of them chatted while waiting. Soon, a figure floated over. It was Xian Yanqing. You are. When Xian Yanqing saw the grey-robed elder, her delicate body trembled and her small face turned slightly pale. Hong Yang greets second miss. The grey-robed elder bowed to Xian Yanqing. Hong, Xian Yanqing whispered. She originally wanted to call him Uncle Hong. However, after pondering for a while, she changed her words. Senior, you don't have to be so polite. Now, my name is Xian Yanqing. I am no longer Tang Qing. You are the reincarnation of second Mrs. Soul. No matter which life's will is the master, in my heart, you are second miss. The grey-robed elder bowed. Senior, why have you come here? Xian Yanqing said. Xian Yanqing, we should leave. This is not a place for us to stay. Xian Yanjuan said. Leave? No, I will not leave. Xian Yanqing shook his head, his expression firm. Don't leave, Xian Yanqing. Our cultivation base increases too slowly in this place. Only by leaving can our cultivation base increase rapidly, Xian Yanjuan said. If my cultivation is slow to improve, then I'll slowly improve it. Xian Yanqing continued to shake his head. Xian Yanqing, are you going to abandon the Tang family? In your previous life, you were the second daughter of the Tang family, Tang Qing. Don't forget that they are in danger now. Xian Yanjuan's voice became heavier. Xian Yanqing frowned. There seemed to be a struggle between his brows, but he didn't say anything. Moreover, there are some things that are difficult to accomplish only if the two of us work together. Moreover, Father's whereabouts are unknown. Only by working together can we find him. Only by finding Father can we have hope. Do you understand? Xian Yanjuan pressed on, and his voice grew louder. The father she was referring to was naturally not Xie Qitian of the Xie family in the divine wilderness continent, but her father in her previous life. I am Xian Yanqing. The struggle between Xian Yanqing's brows deepened. In the end, he shouted loudly, as if he was trying to strengthen his conviction. I know that you are Xian Yanqing. I also know that you can't bear to leave Lu Ming, Lu Shenhuang, and Lu Kai. However, if you stay, you will only harm them. You should know very well how terrifying and powerful our enemies are. You are Tang Qing's reincarnation. Based on this fact, you will be discovered by them sooner or later. Qin Tian Starfield is located in a remote area, so it is still fine. However, with Lu Ming's talent, do you think he will stay in Qin Tian Starfield forever? With his talent, he will leave Qin Tian Starfield sooner or later. At that time, when he comes into contact with those people, your identity will be discovered sooner or later. You are the daughter of the taboo. They will not let you go, nor will they let Lu Ming and the others go. No matter how talented Lu Ming is, he will not be able to fight back against those people. I believe you know this very well. Otherwise, why don't you dare to tell Lu Ming anything? You are afraid of implicating them. Xian Yanjuan stared into Xian Yanqing's eyes and said. Xian Yanqing's eyes became flustered. Xian Yanqing, I have said what I should say. You decide what to do. Today's parting doesn't mean that you will never meet again. If you find Father, you will meet again, Xian Yanjuan said. All right, I will go with you. After struggling for a while, Xian Yanqing finally spoke again. His eyes were resolute. A smile appeared on Xian Yanjuan's face. But I have to say goodbye to Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing said. I will go with you, Xian Yanjuan said. I will send you there. You just need to point out the location for me, the grey-robed elder said. Then, he waved his hand. In an instant, he disappeared with Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan. The next moment, they appeared in Lu Ming's courtyard. Lu Ming sensed Xian Yanqing and the others as soon as they appeared. Although he was cultivating, he had left a trace of his spiritual consciousness to observe the surroundings. Little Qing and Xian Yanjuan came to find me. Is there something wrong? Lu Ming's heart stirred. He ended his cultivation and walked out of the room. When Lu Ming walked out of the room, his eyes fell on the grey-robed elder. His pupils could not help but shrink. He never expected there to be a third person. Just now, he only sensed the aura of Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan. He did not sense any aura of the grey-robed elder. It was as if he was a mass of air. Unfathomable. That was Lu Ming's first impression of the grey-robed elder. Lu Ming, let me introduce you. This is Uncle Hong. Xian Yanjuan was the first to speak. Uncle Hong. Lu Ming was slightly taken aback. Xian Yanjuan called him so intimately and called him Uncle Hong. He must be someone she was very familiar with. This was the primitive universe. This elder naturally could not be from the Xie family of the divine wilderness continent in the primordial realm. Needless to say, this person was someone Xian Yanjuan knew in his previous life. Junior Lu Ming greets Senior. Lu Ming cupped his fists and said, You are the husband of the second miss in this life. You are indeed a dragon among men. The grey-robed elder sized up Lu Ming as if he could see through all of Lu Ming's secrets. He continued, All right, you guys continue chatting. I'll take my leave first. With that, the grey-robed elder's body disappeared. Lu Ming did not see how he disappeared. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing walked to Lu Ming's side. He pondered for a moment and said, I'm leaving. What? Lu Ming was shocked. His expression changed slightly and said, Leaving? Little Qing, what do you mean? There are some things that I need to do. But don't worry, I'll be back soon, Xian Yanqing said. Where are you going? I'll go with you, Lu Ming said. Lu Ming, I'm afraid you can't help with this matter, Xian Yanjuan said. What is it? Lu Ming asked with a frown. To tell you the truth, Xian Yanqing and I were both from the Tang family in our previous lives. However, the Tang family is facing a great crisis. My father is missing. Xian Yanqing and I need to work together to find my father. You are too weak to help at all. Moreover, after Xian Yanqing and I left, our cultivation could improve rapidly. It's only a matter of time before we recover the cultivation of our previous lives. In this place, we can't use our potential at all, Xian Yanjuan said. Baidu Search 81 Chinese Network. No advertising message. Chapter 2677. Great Danger. Then all the more I can't let Xiaoqing go alone. Lu Ming's expression changed. Lu Ming, don't worry. I'll be safe there, Xian Yanqing said. That's right, Lu Ming. Let me tell you, Xian Yanqing will be in real danger if she stays by your side. She will be easily sensed by the enemy. At that time, not only will Xian Yanqing be in danger, but you, Lu Shenhuang, Lu Kai, and your family will also be in danger, Xian Yanjuan said. Lu Ming was speechless for a moment. He knew that Xian Yanqing had left for their safety. He wasn't afraid of himself, but he had to consider Lu Shenhuang and the others. Strength, it's still strength. Lu Ming couldn't help but clench his fists together. After coming to the primitive universe, he deeply felt that he was too weak. Lu Ming, don't worry. Our separation is only temporary. We will meet again sooner or later, Xian Yanqing said while holding Lu Ming's hand. Lu Ming was silent and didn't say anything. At this moment, space flashed and the grey-robed elder's figure appeared again. Lu Ming, this is for you. The grey-robed elder waved his hand and a jade talisman flew to Lu Ming. Lu Ming reached out and took it. The location we're going to is in here. However, I've placed a seal on it. One day, when your cultivation surpasses that of a god king, you'll be able to break the seal. At that time, you'll be able to participate in everything, the grey-robed elder said. Surpass the god king realm. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Lu Ming had never heard of the realm above the Transcendence God King. As far as he knew, the strongest person in the Qin Tian starfield was the God King realm. He had never heard of anyone surpassing the God King realm. Lu Ming, take care. We will meet again soon. I believe in you, Xian Yanqing whispered. Then, her red lips pressed onto Lu Ming's lips. After a long time, their lips parted. Xiaoqing, don't worry. It won't take me long to break through to the Divine King realm. I'll definitely reach that level. When that time comes, I'll come to find you. Lu Ming whispered in Xian Yanqing's ear. His voice was firm, and his gaze was incomparably resolute. He had seen all kinds of storms along the way. In the heaven realm, even someone as strong as the evil god tribe had been annihilated by him. Since Xian Yanqing had a great enemy in his previous life and was destined to fight, then he would trample the enemy and erase him from the face of time. I believe in you, Lu Ming. Take care. Xian Yanqing also whispered and retreated. The grey-robed old man waved his hand. A wave of energy swept up Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan. In an instant, they disappeared without a trace. Xiaoqing, wait for me. Looking at the empty courtyard, a low voice echoed in the courtyard. After a long time, Lu Ming took a deep breath and calmed himself down. Then, he returned to his room to cultivate. He would definitely use the shortest time to break through to the Divine King realm. No matter how strong his opponent was, he would trample them. Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan's departure didn't cause the slightest ripple in the Kongxian school. The Kongxian school had many disciples. Every year, there would be some disciples who went missing. Some were killed, some died while completing missions, and some died in dangerous places. To the major powers, this was a very normal thing. As for the grey-robed old man, the Kongxian school's Divine King experts didn't sense his arrival at all. This made Lu Ming understand that the grey-robed old man's cultivation was unfathomable. In the blink of an eye, Xian Yanqing had been gone for a month. On this day, a group of people arrived at Huang Wu's courtyard. Big brother, you're finally out. Huang Wu stood in front of a white-robed young man with a face full of smiles. This white-robed young man had a cold expression. He was Huang Wu's big brother, Huang Wen. "I know everything about you," Huang Wen said. His voice revealed a murderous aura. "Big brother, you must avenge me. That Lu Ming, that bastard, dared to injure me and kill the people of the Floating Light sect. I will tear him into pieces." Huang Wu's face was ferocious. "Dead. He's dead for sure. However, it won't be easy to deal with him if he hides in the sect." Huang Wen frowned slightly. The Kongxian school had a rule that no killing was allowed in the sect. "Then what should we do? Are we going to let him roam free?" Huang Wu said unwillingly. "Roam free? How is that possible?" Huang Wen sneered and said, "Dongfang Han, you go and give that brat a life and death duel. Force him out of the sect and we'll go and kill him." "Let Dongfang Han give him a life and death duel? How is that possible? That brat isn't stupid. Why would he agree?" Huang Wu said. Killing was not allowed in the Kongxian school, but there was one exception. That was the life and death duel. However, there were conditions for the life and death duel. 2 outer sect elders had to sign the duel and both sides had to agree. Only then would the life and death duel be effective. That way, he could step onto the life and death arena and fight to the death, and the sect would not pursue the matter. However, Dongfang Hao was an elite on the empty god list. Almost all the outer sect disciples of the Kongxian school were in the empty god realm. There were close to 100,000 of them. Therefore, someone made a list, which was the empty god list. It listed 120 of the strongest empty god realm experts and made a ranking. Everyone who was on the empty god list was a peak level 9 empty god realm expert. Their combat strength was extremely strong and they were stronger than those of the same level. In the Kongxian school, there were more than 120 people who had reached level 9 empty god realm. There were even more than 10,000 of them. Many of them had reached level 9 empty god realm and were stuck at that level. It was difficult for them to advance further. There were so many people but only 120 of them were listed. One could see how strong they were. Although Dongfang Hao was ranked at the bottom of the empty god list, his combat strength was much stronger than other level 9 empty god realm experts. Sending such an elite to give Lu Ming a life and death duel, it would be strange if Lu Ming would sign it. I naturally know that he won't dare to sign it. My aim is to pressure him and force him to leave the sect. At that time, killing him will be as easy as killing an ant. Huang Wen sneered. Big brother is wise. Huang Wu was overjoyed. Then, a young man with short red hair beside Huang Wen left the place. This person was Dongfang Hao, the top expert in the outer sect. On this day, Lu Ming was cultivating when a voice came from outside the courtyard. "Lu Ming, get out here." The voice was like thunder and it shook the courtyard. Lu Ming's face darkened. He immediately ended his cultivation and came out of the courtyard. At that moment, the other outer sect disciples around him were also alarmed. Someone is looking for trouble with Lu Ming again. That is Dongfang Hao. That is Dongfang Hao. What? Dongfang Hao on the empty god list. He is the top expert in the outer sect of the Floating Light faction. Lu Ming is in trouble. Many people recognized Dongfang Hao and they were shocked. Baidu search 81 Chinese website. No advertising message. Chapter 2678. Dongfang Hao, empty god list. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. When he saw Dongfang Hao, he felt a sense of danger as if he was being stared at by a terrifying wild beast. Expert. Lu Ming immediately knew that this was an extremely terrifying expert. You're Lu Ming. You even dare to kill someone from the Floating Light sect. You've got guts. Dongfang Hao looked at Lu Ming coldly. Cold killing intent shrouded Lu Ming without concealing it. My guts are indeed not small. Lu Ming replied. Is that so? Since you've got guts, I'll give you a life and death duel now. Do you dare to accept it? A gilded invitation appeared in Dongfang Hao's hand. With a wave of his hand, the invitation flew towards Lu Ming at lightning speed. Lu Ming stretched out his hand to receive it and felt a powerful force surging towards him. His body swayed slightly to dissipate this force and steadily received the invitation in his hand. Lu Ming glanced at the invitation and saw 5 big words written on it: Life and Death Duel. On it, there were the signatures of 2 outer sect elders. In addition, there was Dongfang Hao's signature and his fingerprint. As long as Lu Ming stamped his fingerprint on it, it would mean that he had accepted the life and death duel. What? Dongfang Hao actually issued a life and death duel to Lu Ming? Did I hear wrongly? You didn't hear wrongly. That's it. It can't be. Dongfang Hao is someone on the empty god list. Lu Ming has just entered the sect not long ago. Dongfang Hao's words caused a commotion among the outer sect disciples. An expert on the empty god list actually issued a life and death duel to a disciple who had just entered the sect. This was rare even in history. Hehe, you're really shameless. A level 9 empty god actually dares to challenge me, a disciple who has just entered the sect. Lu Ming sneered. Cut the crap. Weren't you very gutsy just now? Now you've become a coward? If you don't have the guts to accept it, then get out of the sect. Dongfang Hao scolded. Many people were disdainful. Dongfang Hao was an expert on the empty god list. Was it not normal that others did not dare to accept the challenge? However, no one dared to speak up. Lu Ming looked at the life and death duel book in his hand, seemingly deep in thought. Did you hear that? If you don't dare to accept the challenge, then get out of the sect. My Kongxian school will not keep such a coward. Dongfang Hao continued to shamelessly berate. Don't make a fuss here. I'll sign this agreement. Suddenly, Lu Ming's voice rang out. Then, a drop of blood seeped out from his finger. Next, he imprinted his own handprint on the life and death battle book mountain. The surroundings suddenly fell silent. Lu Ming actually signed it. Everyone was stunned. They never thought that Lu Ming would actually dare to sign this life and death duel agreement. Dongfang Hao himself was also stunned. He never thought that Lu Ming would sign the life and death duel agreement. His original intention was to force Lu Ming to leave the sect, and then Huang Wen would send someone to kill Lu Ming. Kid, the life and death duel agreement has a time limit. You must sign it within 3 years. Otherwise, you will be expelled from the sect. Do you understand? Dongfang Hao said coldly. 3 years. There is no need for 3 years. We will meet in the life and death duel 1 year later, Lu Ming said. 1 year. All right, 1 year later then. Dongfang Hao added a time limit on the agreement. The time was 1 year later. 1 year later, if Lu Ming did not dare to accept the challenge, he would be expelled from the Kongxian school. After writing the date, Dongfang Hao cast a cold glance at Lu Ming. He then soared into the air and left the place. Lu Ming actually signed it. He doesn't want his life anymore. I think he's deliberately stalling for time. Stalling for time? What can he do in 1 year? It will be over in the blink of an eye. He can't catch up with Dongfang Hao in 1 year. Could it be that he wants to take this opportunity to leave the Kongxian school? That's possible. Although he leaves the Kongxian school, at least he can keep his life. It's better than being killed by Dongfang Hao. Many people were discussing and thought that Lu Ming was deliberately stalling for time. In Huang Wu's courtyard. What? That kid actually signed it. Huang Wen, Huang Wu, and the others were surprised when they heard Dongfang Hao's news. They originally thought that Lu Ming would definitely not sign it. Huang Wen's purpose was to force Lu Ming to leave. Once Lu Ming signed it, his plan was disrupted. This kid must be stalling for time and then sneaking away, Huang Wu said. The others nodded. They also thought that Lu Ming had such a plan. With Lu Ming's current cultivation, 1 year later, he would definitely not be Dongfang Hao's opponent. That's a good plan. But if he slips away, he can forget about coming back. Huang Wen said coldly. Slipping away was equivalent to being expelled from the sect. Let's wait and see. If he doesn't leave in 1 year, we'll kill him, Huang Wen said. He then left and returned to the inner sect. 1 year's time was too short for a martial god realm cultivator. They didn't think that Lu Ming would be able to stir up any waves in 1 year's time. The news of Lu Ming signing Dongfang Hao's life and death duel quickly spread among the outer sect disciples and set off a storm. Some people thought that Lu Ming was courting death. But more people thought that Lu Ming was stalling for time and wanted to take the opportunity to slip away. Some people even secretly watched Lu Ming to see if Lu Ming was going to slip away. Lu Ming was too lazy to care about all this. He returned to his room and continued to cultivate. A few days later, Lu Ming opened his eyes. "I can continue to break through," Lu Ming muttered. After a few months of cultivation, his foundation was very solid and he could continue to break through to the next realm. He still had many wood crystals that he had yet to refine. He took out a wood crystal and swallowed it before he started to cultivate. He cultivated the sovereign divine force. Every time he broke through to the next realm, he would need a shocking amount of resources. However, Lu Ming had not used the wood crystals that he had obtained from the abyss and the wood crystals that he had obtained from killing plants. It was enough for him to break through. One by one, the wood crystals were refined rapidly. Lu Ming's cultivation level was also increasing rapidly. He was rapidly approaching the third level of the Void God realm. Half a month later, when Lu Ming had refined the last wood crystal, his cultivation level had successfully broken through to level 3 Empty God realm. Level 3 Empty God realm is still not enough to deal with Dongfang Hao, Lu Ming muttered. When Lu Ming was at level 2 Empty God realm, he could easily defeat level 7 Empty God realm experts such as the young man in luxurious clothes. At that time, his combat strength was equivalent to a level 8 Empty God realm supreme talent who possessed royal grade divine force. Now that his cultivation level had broken through to level 3 Empty God realm, he could theoretically fight against a level 9 Empty God realm expert if he gave it his all. However, Lu Ming knew that if he really fought against a level 9 Empty God realm expert, he would most likely not be a match for him. This was because a level 9 Empty God realm expert could already use divine skills. There was a huge gap between them and a level 8 Empty God realm expert. Once a divine skill was used, the combat strength would be shocking. Moreover, Dongfang Hao was on the Empty God list. His strength must be even more terrifying. Lu Ming would most likely not be a match for him. Even if he activated the fight formula to double his combat strength, he would still not be a match for Dongfang Hao. Lu Ming still needed to continue to break through to be able to fight against Dongfang Hao. Baidu searching 81 Chinese network. No advertising message. Chapter 2679. Everyone thought that Lu Ming was trying to buy time so that he could escape. However, Lu Ming had no intention of doing so. The reason why he gave himself a year's time was to force himself to improve faster. He wanted to reach the Divine King realm in the shortest time possible. Continue. He closed his eyes and continued to cultivate, trying to understand the battle character formula. 2 months passed in the blink of an eye. In the core area of Kongshen School, a figure was waiting in front of a secret chamber. If Lu Ming were here, he would definitely recognize that this figure was the outer sect elder who had brought them to Kongshen sect during the disciple recruitment assessment, Hua Quan. Catcher. The door to the secret room opened, and an old man with white hair and beard walked out. The old man's eyes seemed to be filled with wisdom as he blinked. Hua Quan greets the sect leader. Hua Quan immediately bowed respectfully. The old man was the sect leader of Kongshen School, Long Jushan. Hua Quan, why are you looking for me? Long Jushan asked. Because of the new disciple recruitment, sect leader was in seclusion and I did not disturb you. I heard that sect leader is about to come out of seclusion, so I came to report to you. Hua Quan said. The new disciple? You can arrange this matter well. Why do you need to report it to me? Long Jushan said flatly with a hint of displeasure on his face. Sect leader, it's different this time. There's a kid inside and I suspect that he has divine grade divine force. Hua Quan immediately bowed and said. What? Long Zushan's eyes widened and a terrifying aura burst out from his body. The aura was as vast as the universe. Even with Hua Quan's divine grade cultivation, he was suppressed by the aura and spat out a mouthful of blood. Long Jushan immediately retracted his aura, but his eyes were still filled with shock. Divine grade divine force? Is what you said true? Longshausen glared at Huaquan and asked. This subordinate is not very sure. During the disciple recruitment examination, I observed him many times. However, that little fellow has cultivated a special secret technique that can conceal his divine power aura very well. I am only suspecting, but I am not 100% sure, Huaquan said. Bring him here. I want to examine him personally. Dragon Boat Mountain Road. Yes. Huaquan bowed and accepted the order, then retreated. Divine grade divine power, Longshausen muttered. His eyes flashed with a fiery light, mixed with a hint of malevolence. Someone else is coming. Lu Ming was cultivating when he sensed someone outside. He ended his cultivation and walked out. Elder Huaquan. Seeing Huaquan, Lu Ming was slightly surprised. Lu Ming hadn't seen Huaquan since the last time he came to the Kongxian school's outer sanctum. Now that Huaquan suddenly came to look for him, what did he want? Could it be related to the battle with Dongfang Hao? Lu Ming guessed. Lu Ming greets Elder Hua. Lu Ming cupped his fists and said, Lu Ming, come with me. The sect leader wants to see you. Huaquan smiled and looked at Lu Ming carefully. There was a trace of shock in his eyes. He remembered clearly that during the 13 sects assessment, Lu Ming's cultivation was only a demigod. Now, he had reached level 3 empty god realm. It had only been a few years. This cultivation speed was too shocking. Ah! Lu Ming himself was stunned. The sect leader wanted to see him? He was just an outer sanctum disciple. Why did the sect leader of Kongxian School suddenly want to see him? Come with me. Huaquan suppressed the shock in his heart and flew away. Lu Ming could only suppress the doubts in his heart and followed Huaquan. The Kongxian School's outer sanctum was located on a huge mountain range. Going deep into the mountain range, one would reach the Kongxian School's inner sanctum. Here, it was not just one mountain range. There were a few mountain ranges, like a few dragons, entwined with each other. Here, the divine qi was extremely dense and the cultivation conditions were better than the outer sanctum. Lu Ming followed Huaquan and flew into the inner sanctum. Soon, they arrived at a mountain peak. On the mountain peak, there was a grand hall. Lu Ming followed Huaquan into the hall and saw an old man with white hair. The old man had a smile on his face, but there was a majestic aura that made people not dare to look at him directly. Subordinate greets the sect leader. Huaquan bowed respectfully. Disciple Lu Ming greets the sect leader. Lu Ming followed suit and bowed. Huaquan, you can leave. Long Jushan waved his hand. Huaquan left respectfully, leaving only Lu Ming and Long Jushan in the hall. Long Zushan's eyes flickered with a strange light as he sized up Lu Ming. For some reason, when Long Zushan's gaze landed on Lu Ming, goosebumps appeared all over his body. It was as if he was being stared at by a venomous snake. Suddenly, a bright light emitted from Long Zushan's body. Streaks of blood-red god force condensed into venomous snakes that pounced on Lu Ming, exuding a terrifying murderous aura. Lu Ming was shocked. He never thought that the Kongxian School's sect leader would kill him. He had never seen the sect leader before and had never offended him. Why would he do this? Even though he knew that his cultivation was far from the sect leaders, Lu Ming would not allow himself to be captured without a fight. He quickly retreated. However, when Lu Ming retreated, the space behind him seemed to solidify, blocking his path of retreat. Swish, swish, swish. Several venomous snakes coiled around Lu Ming. These snakes were formed from Long Zushan's god force, and their power was shocking. Terrifying energy rushed into Lu Ming's body, and Lu Ming felt a tearing pain in his body. Break for me, Lu Ming roared. At this moment, he couldn't care less about concealing his strength. His sovereign's god force erupted, and purple-gold sovereign god force rushed out, bombarding the venomous snakes. At the same time, a pure golden armor appeared on Lu Ming's body. This was the 9 layers pure golden armor. When it was used, it was as if a suit of armor covered Huang Xiaolong's body. Divine-grade god force, it's really divine-grade god force. Moreover, it's sovereign's god force. Looking at the god force circulating around Lu Ming's body, Long Zushan's eyes burned with passion. With a wave of his hand, the venomous snakes coiling around Lu Ming disappeared without a trace. Lu Ming felt his body relax, and he couldn't help gasping for breath. A layer of cold sweat covered his body. Sect leader, what's the meaning of this? Lu Ming looked at Long Zushan with a gloomy expression. Who would be in a good mood if Long Zushan tried to kill him the moment they met? Not bad, not bad. You really did control divine-grade god force. Long Zushan's face was full of joy, and he nodded repeatedly in excitement. Lu Ming frowned. Long Zushan wanted to test if he could control divine-grade god force. Your name is Lu Ming, right? In the future, I will nurture you well, and help you grow as fast as possible, Long Zushan said. Then, Lu Ming thanks sect leader. Lu Ming said. Chapter 2680. However, I have a condition. Long Zushan's tone suddenly changed, and he said, I'll nurture you well, but you have to swear on your life essence that you'll definitely listen to me in the future. You'll do whatever I tell you to do, understand? Lu Ming narrowed his eyes, and his face darkened. Long Zushan's meaning was clear. He would nurture Lu Ming in the future, but Lu Ming had to listen to his every word. What was the difference between that and becoming Long Zushan's tool? Long Zushan wanted to use him as a knife to achieve his goal. How could Lu Ming agree? Sect leader, there's no need to swear on your life source. You are the sect leader. In the future, whenever you need Lu Ming will do his best. Lu Ming said. Are you rejecting me? Long Zushan's face turned cold, and a dangerous light flickered in his eyes. Swear on my life source, please forgive Lu Ming for not agreeing, Lu Ming said resolutely. Once he swore on his life source, Lu Ming would become Long Zushan's puppet in the future. Can't agree? Today, you have to agree even if you don't want to. If you can't be used by me, I'd rather destroy you. Long Zushan's face darkened, and his voice turned cold. A terrifying killing intent enveloped Lu Ming, causing Lu Ming to shiver. Lu Ming had never imagined that the Kongxian school's sect leader would be so despicable. As soon as he knew that Huang Xiaolong had divine-grade god force, he wanted to control him. As the sect leader, you actually dare to threaten your own disciple. If this news were to spread, who knows how many people would be bitterly disappointed. Lu Ming suppressed the anger in his heart. Are you threatening me? Long Zushan said coldly. What I said is the truth. Today, if you want to kill me, then kill me. You want me to swear on my life? Dream on. Lu Ming confronted Long Zushan without the slightest fear. Although he didn't want to die, he would rather die than become a puppet. You have guts and aren't afraid of death. But do you think being unafraid of death is of any use? Do you think that if you don't swear, I won't be able to deal with you? How naive. I'll plant the nether dragon blood curse in your body and make you wish you were dead. Long Zushan roared and grabbed at the air. Lu Ming felt a powerful force grabbing at him. He couldn't resist at all and was directly grabbed by Long Zushan. Then, the dragon boat's fingers continuously pointed, and terrifying rune arcs drilled into Lu Ming's body like blood-red vipers. Roar. Lu Ming let out a beast-like roar because it was too painful. At this moment, Lu Ming's body felt like it was being bitten by countless small snakes. It was extremely uncomfortable and painful. Haha, enjoy my dark dragon blood curse. Long Zushan sneered. His fingers moved faster and faster, and even more blood-red runes drilled into Lu Ming's body, forming a terrifying formation. Old fellow, you old bastard, you're shameless and despicable. Lu Ming cursed in pain. Go ahead and curse. I'll let you curse to your heart's content. Long Zushan sneered. Old bastard, you're the master of a sect. You're shameless, despicable, devoid of conscience. Do you even have a son? You can't get it up at night, you're impotent during the day. Lu Ming's mouth didn't stop. He was like a machine gun. He hadn't spent so much time with Dandan for nothing. Long Zushan's will was firm, but he was still cursed until his eyelids twitched. A moment later, Long Zushan finally stopped. The nether dragon blood curse had been placed down. Lu Ming's body released a blinding red light. It was like countless little snakes were coiling around his body, making him suffer endless pain. This kind of pain was even more unbearable than being cut to pieces. In the end, Lu Ming didn't even have the energy to curse. He collapsed on the ground, gasping for breath. "Now you know how powerful I am," Long Jushan sneered. With a wave of his hand, the snake-like runes on Lu Ming's body disappeared. The pain on Lu Ming's body also disappeared. Lu Ming looked into his body and found that those snake-like runes had disappeared without a trace. He couldn't sense them at all. The Nether Dragon blood curse is already hidden in the depths of your body. As long as I willed it, you'd be in unbearable pain. You might even die instantly. Right now, your life is completely in my hands. Do you understand? Long Jushan icily said. You really are despicable. Speak, what do you want me to do? Lu Ming ground his teeth. He was planning on first calming this old fellow down, then thinking of a way to get rid of the Nether Dragon blood curse in his body. There's no rush. Right now, your cultivation base is still too weak. Once your cultivation base increases, I'll naturally have a use for you. Remember, you better be obedient. Otherwise, I'll make you disappear completely, Long Jushan coldly said, then took out a golden token and threw it to Lu Ming. This is a golden token, the highest grade token in the Kongxian school. With this token, other than some forbidden areas, you can go anywhere you want in the Kongxian school. You can also enter and exit the sacred cultivation grounds. Cultivate well. Long Jushan waved his hand and Lu Ming was pushed out by a force. Damn it. Lu Ming's face was extremely cold. Long Jushan obviously didn't have any good intentions in giving him a golden token. He only hoped that Lu Ming would quickly improve so that he could use him in the future. Lu Ming lowered his head and pondered for a moment. He kept the golden token and walked out. Not long after, he saw Huaquan. Lu Ming, how was it? What did the sect leader say to you? With your talent, the sect leader will probably spend a lot of effort to nurture you. Huaquan smiled. His smile was very clean, as if he didn't know anything. This Huaquan, doesn't he know how despicable Long Jushan is? Lu Ming was puzzled, but he nodded casually. It's all right. I'll send you back, Huaquan said, then brought Lu Ming out of the inner disciple district and back to the outer disciple district. Back at his residence, Lu Ming immediately went into seclusion, circulating the universe myriad Dao art. His sovereign god force seeped into every part of his body, roaming through every inch of his muscles, bones, and even his internal organs. He wanted to find the Nether Dragon blood curse and destroy it. However, after circulating his sovereign god force, he didn't find anything. Since that old fogey knows that I have sovereign god force, he must know that I can't destroy the Nether Dragon blood curse with my sovereign god force. Lu Ming's face was gloomy. He really didn't expect the Kongxian school's sect leader to be such a person. So cunning, so despicable and shameless. Right now, I can only feign civility and pacify the other party. In the future, I will find a way to destroy the Nether Dragon blood curse. I, Lu Ming, will remember today's grudge. A cold light flickered in Lu Ming's eyes. He had been through countless storms along the way. He didn't believe that he couldn't cross this hurdle. Then, Lu Ming took out the gold token. Since you want to nurture me, I'll borrow some strength to raise my strength, Lu Ming thought. He then left the outer disciple district and headed toward the inner disciple district. There were many cultivation holy grounds in the inner disciple district. With this gold token, Lu Ming could borrow those cultivation holy grounds to raise his strength. Chapter 2681. Lu Ming returned to the inner sect. However, he was stopped at an entrance. Stop. Two men in black appeared in front of Lu Ming, blocking his way. The auras of these two black-robed men were as thick as mountains. One look and one could tell that they were terrifying experts. Seniors, I want to go in. Lu Ming cupped his fists and said. You want to go in? Little guy, leave quickly. Outer sect disciples are not allowed to enter unless there are special circumstances. One of the men in black waved his hand casually, revealing a disdainful look. They could see that Lu Ming's cultivation was only at level 3 ethereal god realm. With such cultivation, he was at the bottom of the list even in the outer sect. How dare he enter the inner sect? Lu Ming's face was calm. He knew it would be like this. Last time, he came with Huaquan, so he was not stopped. This time, he was alone. It was normal for him to be stopped. Seniors, this is my token. Lu Ming took out the gold token. Token? What token? The two men in black glanced at it casually. Their eyes widened instantly. Gold token. They were tongue-tied and almost bit their own tongues. They had never thought that Lu Ming would have a gold token. In the Kongxian school, there were very few people who had a gold token. Other than the holy sons and holy daughters, there were only a few people who had a gold token. However, those people were of noble status. However, Lu Ming was only at level 3 ethereal god realm. They had never seen him before. How could he have a gold token? Could this kid be a disciple secretly taken in by a big shot? The two black-robed men thought in their hearts, and immediately revealed a respectful expression on their faces. Since you have a gold token, you can enter. Please, come in. The two men's faces immediately changed. They nodded and bowed, trying to please Lin Fan. Thank you. Lu Ming smiled and was about to enter. Wait. At this moment, a shout came from behind. There was a flash of light and a beautiful young lady appeared beside Lu Ming. The girl's skin was smooth and her facial features were exquisite. She was a rare beauty. She blinked her big eyes and looked at Lu Ming curiously. Who are you? I have never seen you before. Where did you get the gold token? Miss, I don't think I need to tell you where I got the gold token. Lu Ming smiled. Don't tell me. You don't dare to tell me. Tell me, did you steal the gold token? The girl opened her eyes wide, as if she wanted to see through Lu Ming's lie. Lu Ming was speechless. He said, Miss, all the people who have the gold token have a high cultivation level and they hide it in their storage rings. Where can I steal it from? The young girl was taken aback and pouted. That's true. Miss, I still have matters to attend to, so I'll take my leave first. Done talking, Lu Ming walked towards the entrance. Hey, wait for me. You haven't said where your gold token came from. The girl shouted and followed Lu Ming. The two burly men in black seemed to be very familiar with the girl and ignored her, allowing her to enter. Looks like this girl's identity is not simple. She is clearly only at the Void God Realm cultivation, but the other party did not stop her. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He could roughly sense that the girl's cultivation definitely did not reach the true God Realm and should still be at the Void God Realm. Void God Realm belonged to the outer sect disciples and should not be able to enter the inner sect area. Of course, some special people were excluded, such as the disciples or descendants of some big shot. Hey, you haven't said where you got the gold token from? Tell me about it, tell me about it. The girl followed Lu Ming closely and muttered endlessly. Lu Ming was really speechless. He could tell that the girl had no ill intentions towards him and was just purely curious. Miss, to tell you the truth, the sect leader gave me this gold token. Lu Ming said helplessly. The sect leader gave it to you? The girl blinked her big eyes and asked even more curiously, why would the sect leader give you a gold token? What's your relationship with the sect leader? Are you a disciple that the sect leader took in privately? Or are you an illegitimate child that the sect leader secretly gave birth to? Fart. Lu Ming almost spat out a mouthful of blood. What was this little girl thinking about? Her imagination was too wild. Don't make wild guesses. It's not what you think. Lu Ming said. If it's not what I think, then what is it? The girl asked again. Lu Ming felt helpless. He could not be bothered with the young lady and strode forward. However, the young lady was like a shadow, following closely behind Lu Ming. She looked like she would not give up until she figured out what was going on. Lu Ming could not be bothered with her and hurried on. Hey, I'm Yu Linglong. What's your name? Hey, where are you going? Hey, that's where the inner disciples go to the toilet. What are you doing there? Lu Ming stopped in his tracks abruptly, his face turning red. Well, this is my first time in the inner disciples. Lu Ming explained awkwardly. Since it's your first time here, where are you looking for? I can lead the way, the girl said with a smile. I'm looking for a place to cultivate. It's best if it's a place that can quickly increase my cultivation, Lu Ming said. A place to cultivate? Of course, it's the Divine Vein Tower. The divine aura in the Divine Vein Tower is extremely rich and contains a trace of the power of the Divine Vein, which can help people increase their cultivation quickly, the girl said. Divine Vein Tower? How do I get there? Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Hey, you haven't told me your name, the girl stared at him. My name is Lu Ming. Lu Ming coughed and explained. Lu Ming. What an old-fashioned name. The girl curled her lips. Lu Ming's face darkened. Let's go. I'll bring you to the Divine Vein Tower. But let me tell you, it costs points to cultivate in the Divine Vein Tower, the girl said. Points? What points? Lu Ming was stunned. You don't even know what points are? The girl rolled her eyes with a look of disdain. Lu Ming's face darkened. He realized that he had been disdained by the girl many times in such a short time. Points, of course it's the sect's points. You can get points by completing the sect's missions. Points are very useful in the sect. You can enter a place to cultivate. You can even exchange for divine tools, various divine skills, techniques, secret techniques, and so on, the girl explained. Lu Ming understood. The so-called points in the Kongxian school were like contribution points in other places. Lu Ming began to have a headache. He didn't have any points at all. It seemed that he couldn't go. You don't have any points. How about this? Do you have divine crystals? You can exchange them for points, but it's not worth it. 10,000 divine crystals can only be exchanged for 1 point. Cultivating in the Divine Vein Tower costs 1 point per day, the girl said. Lu Ming gasped a breath of cold air. That was too expensive. 1 point per day to cultivate in the Divine Vein Tower, which was equivalent to 10,000 divine crystals. It was extremely shocking. Unfortunately, I don't have many points left. Otherwise, I can sell them to you at a cheaper price, the girl muttered. Chapter 2682. I have some artifacts. Where can I sell them? I'll sell them and exchange them for some points. Lu Ming gritted his teeth. In the end, he decided to cultivate in the Divine Vein Tower. No matter how many deity crystals he had, it was useless to keep them. The only way was to convert them into strength. He still had some middle-grade artifacts that he could sell. Let's go. I'll take you there. The girl led the way and Lu Ming followed. Soon, they arrived at a bustling place. This was the place where the inner sanctum area specialized in exchanging and selling all kinds of treasures. At present, Lu Ming still had 11 middle-grade divine weapons in his hands. Lu Ming planned to sell 6 and keep 5. The price of a middle-grade artifact naturally couldn't be compared to a low-grade artifact. A good low-grade 9th-grade artifact could be sold for 100,000 deity crystals. As for middle-grade artifacts, even the lowest grade, 1st-grade ones, were sold for hundreds of thousands. Among them, 3 were middle-grade level 1 divine weapons, 2 were middle-grade level 2 divine weapons, and 1 was middle-grade level 3 divine weapon. After selling them, he received a total of 6 million deity crystals. The girl widened her eyes in shock. She didn't expect Lu Ming to be so rich. Afterward, Lu Ming bought a huge pile of divine weapon fragments. All of them were divine weapon fragments of low-grade 7th-tier divine weapons and above. There were divine weapon fragments ranging from low-grade 7th-tier divine weapons to low-grade 9th-tier divine weapons. Lu Ming spent 200,000 divine crystals on this huge pile. These fragments were enough for Qiuqiu to eat for a while. Then, Lu Ming followed Yu Linglong to the points exchange hall. Lu Ming used 6 million points to exchange for 160 points. Let's go and cultivate. With a large number of points, Lu Ming waved his hand and walked toward the Divine Vein Tower with Yu Linglong. Is this the Divine Vein Tower? It looks ordinary. Soon, they arrived at a huge tower. The tower looked simple and unadorned, but it didn't emit any aura. It seemed to be built with some random boulders. Let's go. Every floor of the Divine Vein Tower has the same effect. It costs 1 point a day, Yu Linglong said and walked towards the Divine Vein Pagoda. There was someone guarding the Divine Vein Tower. Take out your identity medallions and register them. Below the Divine Vein Tower, an old man said. Lu Ming and Yu Linglong took out their identity badges and handed them to the old man. The points were all recorded in their identity tokens. The old man placed their identity badges on a disc array. The disc array flashed a few times before returning the badges to them. Go in. Remember, 1 day of cultivation in the Divine Vein Tower will cost you 1 point. When the points in your identity token are used up, the formation of the Divine Vein Tower will eject you out. However, it will be a bit embarrassing. So, you'd better walk out of the Divine Vein Tower before your points are used up. The old man warned. The two nodded and walked into the Divine Vein Tower. There were many secret rooms in the Divine Vein Tower. All the secret rooms on the first floor were occupied. The two of them went to the second floor. Hey, Lu Ming. If you have any questions in the future, you can ask me. Here. Yu Linglong gave Lu Ming a message jade amulet and walked into a secret room. Lu Ming smiled and walked into a secret room. The door of the secret room closed automatically. Lu Ming sat cross-legged, circulating the universe 10,000 Dao art and beginning to cultivate. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Immediately, the surrounding divine qi gathered towards Lu Ming. What a rich divine qi! Lu Ming was shocked. The divine qi here was extremely dense and shocking. It was almost materialized. It was many times faster than absorbing deity crystals. There was even a special energy in the divine qi. Once it entered Lu Ming's body, it turned into Lu Ming's divine qi and helped him to refine his divine body. It's so fast. The speed of cultivation here is many times faster than outside. The 10,000 divine crystals are worth it. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Previously, he had been heartbroken about the divine crystals. 10,000 divine crystals could only be used for 1 day of cultivation. However, he felt that it was worth it now. Although it was expensive, he was sure that he would be able to break through quickly. However, before he started to cultivate, Lu Ming took out a pile of sacred weapon fragments and put them aside for Qiu Qiu to eat. He then started to cultivate. In the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. Lu Ming's cultivation level had increased tremendously. He had reached the peak of rank 3 Empty God Realm and was only a step away from rank 4 Empty God Realm. It was not easy to break through to the Empty God Realm. Many people would take hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of years to break through if they cultivated step by step. However, he had only used 3 months to break through to rank 4 Empty God Realm. This was all because of the Divine Range Pagoda. Let's start. Lu Ming thought, and the divine qi in his body started to circulate rapidly. Rumble. There seemed to be a loud explosion in his body as he started to break through to rank 4 Empty God Realm. Not long after, his aura increased tremendously and he was much stronger than before. Rank 4 Empty God Realm, breakthrough. Lu Ming smiled. After breaking through to rank 4 Empty God Realm, Lu Ming was more confident in his battle with Dongfang Hao. It's worth it to break through to rank 4 Empty God Realm in 3 months. Lu Ming smiled. Although it would not take more than 900,000 divine crystals to break through to rank 4 Empty God Realm by absorbing divine crystals outside, it would take at least 10 times or even a few hundred times longer. In the Divine Range Pagoda, breaking through in 3 months was equivalent to spending a large amount of divine crystals to buy time. Now, what Lu Ming lacked the most was time. Everything was worth it. If his cultivation level increased, he could earn more divine crystals. It hasn't even been a year and my cultivation level has increased by 2 levels. I need to stop and refine my cultivation. I need to use the remaining time to cultivate my divine skills. Although Lu Ming had a lot more confidence in the battle with Dongfang Hao, he had to be 100% confident. He could not neglect the 2 miraculous techniques, 9-layered crimson gold armor and destructive 3 strikes. If these 2 godly skills had a breakthrough, he would have a greater chance of winning. Immediately, Lu Ming walked out of the Divine Range Pagoda. Senior, may I know where I can cultivate my divine skills in the inner district? Outside the Divine Range Pagoda, Lu Ming asked the elder who was guarding the Divine Range Pagoda. There are some places that ordinary disciples are not allowed to enter. The elder glanced at Lu Ming and said lightly, Senior, this is my token. Lu Ming took out the gold token. Gold token. The elder's eyes widened and he looked at Lu Ming in surprise. Obviously, he did not expect that Lu Ming, an empty God Realm disciple, would have a gold token. With the gold token, you can go to most places in the inner district. The best place to cultivate your divine skills is the Divine Skills Valley. I have a map of the inner district here. Take it. The elder took out a map and handed it to Lu Ming. The reason why he was so nice to Lu Ming was that he guessed that Lu Ming was a disciple of a big shot. He wanted to befriend Lu Ming and build a good relationship with Lu Ming. Chapter 2683. Thank you, Senior. Lu Ming took the map and scanned it with his spiritual senses. A map appeared in his mind. It was a map of the entire inner sect area. All the addresses, buildings, and cultivation grounds were clearly marked out. This golden badge is quite useful. Lu Ming pondered. Although he had been cursed by the Dragon Boat Mountain with the Nether Dragon Blood Curse, at least there were still some benefits. At the very least, this golden token was still very useful to him. Without the golden badge, he would not have been able to enter the inner disciple area, let alone the places of cultivation. It would be difficult for him to improve his cultivation in a short period of time. Following the map, Lu Ming headed toward the Valley of Divine Skills. The Valley of Divine Skills was the best place to cultivate divine skills in the inner disciple area. Of course, it would cost points, but it was slightly cheaper, 1 point for 5 days. Lu Ming still had 70 points in his badge, enough for him to cultivate for 350 days. Lu Ming entered the Valley of Divine Skills and immersed himself in cultivating. Time gradually passed. The 1-year promise between Lu Ming and Dongfang Hao gradually approached. In the blink of an eye, only 3 days were left. During this period, the outer disciple area became lively. Many people were discussing Lu Ming's matter. A year's time was not short for ordinary people, allowing them to forget many things. However, for martial God Realm cultivators, a year's time was no different than a breath's time. They still remembered the life-or-death duel between Lu Ming and Dongfang Hao. Why hasn't Lu Ming shown up yet? I saw him going out before. Did he really run away? That's for sure. I've already said that if he agreed to the life-or-death duel with Dongfang Hao, he would definitely run away. I heard that he came first in the selection, but it turns out that he's such a coward. Knowing that he's going to die, it would be strange if he had the gut. The outer disciple area was filled with discussions about Lu Ming. They all assumed that Lu Ming had run away, not daring to accept the duel. Meanwhile, Lu Ming had just come out from the inner disciple area. Lu Ming had a smile on his face. During this period of cultivation, he had gained a lot. He had full confidence in his battle with Dongfang Hao. Soon, he returned to the inner sect area. Lu Ming is back. The news immediately caused an uproar in the outer disciple district. The people who had been certain that Lu Ming had slipped away were now dumbfounded and speechless. You dare to come back? You're courting death. What a fool. When Lu Ming came back, he directly slapped these people in the face. These people flew into a rage out of humiliation, thinking that Lu Ming was stupid and came back to court death. In short, the news of Lu Ming's return quickly spread throughout the outer sect. In Huang Wu's courtyard. Good, it's good that he's back. Let's kill him. Huang Wu laughed loudly. Don't worry. This time, I'll make him die a horrible death. On the side, Dongfang Hao's face was ferocious, his killing intent cold. Come, place your bets. Bet on Dongfang Hao to win, 200 to 1. Bet on Lu Ming to win, 1 to 50. Near the life and death arena, a burly man actually started a bet on who would win between Lu Ming and Dongfang Hao. 200 to 1. You're too greedy. This ratio is too low. Yes, 200 to only earn 1. Many people despised him. Bet on Lu Ming to win, each divine crystal earned them 50. However, bet on Dongfang Hao to win, 200 to only earn them 1 divine crystal. If you guys don't bet, then I will. Lu Ming will definitely lose. Although 200 to 1 is a little low, it's a steady profit. I bet 100,000 divine crystals on Dongfang Hao to win. An outer disciple directly bet 100,000 divine crystals. Many people's eyes lit up. Yes, Dongfang Hao would definitely win. Although the profit was less, it was still a steady profit. No matter how small a mosquito was, it was still meat. I also bet on Dongfang Hao to win. I bet 50,000 divine crystals. I bet 200,000 divine crystals on Dongfang Hao to win. Me too. There's no suspense in this battle. Dongfang Hao will definitely win. A large group of outer sect disciples were betting on Dongfang Hao's victory. The burly man's face was covered in cold sweat. He also thought that Dongfang Hao would definitely win. Almost everyone bet on Dongfang Hao to win. Wouldn't he suffer a great loss? He deliberately set the odds of Lu Ming to 1 to 50. With such high odds, he thought that some people would take the risk and bet on Lu Ming to win. That way, he would be able to make a profit. Why don't you guys bet on Lu Ming to win? If you bet on Lu Ming to win, you'll have to pay 50 to 1. The burly man shouted. Do you think I'm stupid? If I bet on Lu Ming to win, I'll definitely suffer a loss. That's right. I won't give you money for free. Hurry up and give me a receipt. A group of outer disciples shouted. The burly man was covered in cold sweat. It's really lively here. Lu Ming had just returned from the inner disciple area. When he passed by here and saw so many people betting, his interest was immediately piqued. Lu Ming is here. Someone shouted. Suddenly, everyone's eyes looked at Lu Ming. There were pity, sighs, and indifference. Anyway, looking at Lu Ming was like looking at a dead man. In their opinion, Lu Ming would definitely die 3 days later. How do you place this bet? What's the odds? Lu Ming's interest was piqued. He walked over and asked. Bet on Dongfang Hao to win, 200 to 1. Bet on Lu Ming to win, 1 to 50. Someone replied. Nest, my odds are so high. Then there should be a lot of people who bet on me to win. Lu Ming looked at the burly man. No one bet on you to win, the burly man said with a bitter face. What? Lu Ming was depressed. How much did they look down on him? Bet on Dongfang Hao to win, 200 to 1, and there were so many people who bet on him. But he bet 1 to 50, and no one actually bet on him? Could it be that they all thought he would lose? Everyone, because there are too many people who bet on Dongfang Hao to win, the odds will be changed to 500 to 1. The burly man said loudly. What? 500 to 1, why don't you go die? Bet 500 and you will only earn 1. Bet 50,000 and you will only earn 100. This is too little. It's not good to cheat like this. Many people loudly reprimanded, but the middle-aged man's attitude was firm. He believed it was 500 to 1. This business is not bad. Lu Ming's eyes turned. His heart moved, and he thought of a way to make money. Everyone, listen to me. Lu Ming clapped his hands, attracting everyone's attention. He won't be the banker, so I will. Those who want to bet, come to me. Those who bet on Dongfang Hao to win, 100 to 1. Those who bet on Lu Ming to win, 100 to 1. Lu Ming said loudly. What? Bet on Dongfang Hao to win, 100 to 1. I'll bet 100,000 divine crystals. Suddenly, there were people who placed their bets. Many people's eyes became fiery. At the burly man's place, the odds for Dongfang Hao to win was 500 to 1. At Lu Ming's place, it was 100 to 1, which was 5 times higher. Naturally, everyone chose Lu Ming's place. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.